What I learned from 8 years of markets, the story behind the Live Way. The Live Way wasn't created overnight. It came out of years of watching patterns, solving problems, and feeling the weight of what wasn't working, not just for others, but for myself. After 8 years and over 10 different locations where I ran what I called markets, I knew something had to shift. I put market at the end of every name, the Heights Morning Market, Wanderlust Market, not because that's what I truly believed in, but because I knew it would make people show up and buy things. And it worked. People came, people bought things. But over time, I watched the same cycle repeat. Creators burnt out, people threw in the towel and went back to their 9 to 5. Passion projects slowly turned into obligations. The spark that brought them there started to feel like the same grind they were trying to escape. I saw people stuck in survival mode, hopping from place to place, never able to root, and I saw what happened time and time again when someone was given a storefront too soon, without rhythm, without structure, without the muscle of consistency. It would slip through their hands, not because they weren't capable, but because the foundation wasn't there. So Montrose Live was born, but the name actually came before the space itself. At the time, there was still something called Montrose Marketplace operating in the location. It didn't reflect the vision I had. It felt transactional, disconnected, and misaligned with what I knew was possible. Before I could build what I had in mind, I had to clear what was already there. The name Montrose Live came first, because the intention came first. I knew this space needed to become something more alive, more intentional, and more sustainable. So the foundation began to shift, first in the name, then in structure, then in energy. And with that, the Live Way emerged. The Live Way isn't a business model or a vending schedule. It's a rhythm, a planting process, a way of doing things that builds something real from your own energy. It's about showing up, not just to be seen, but to be present. It's about engaging with others, staying rooted in your why, and building something you can actually sustain. But the Live Way can't live in chaos. It needs a container, and that's why Montrose Live exists. Unlike most pop-ups that open once or twice a week, Montrose Live is open 5 nights a week and growing. That consistency makes rhythm possible. The space is structured by collectives, not based on what you sell, but why you're doing it. The what can shift over time. The why is what holds. We've seen it with trends, crystals, Hello Kitty purses, weed leaf earrings, bootleg anime tees, or slapping popular logos and characters onto products just to make them sell. If you're just selling what sells, it fades fast, and so does your soul. I've watched it happen. Makers who once poured love into their work sat next to someone selling Hello Kitty purses from Temu and made $1,000 less that day. And then it spread, like a virus. One by one, the handmade creators started ordering off Temu too, just to keep up, just to survive. It was one of the most heartbreaking things I've witnessed. And it's not just with products. It happens with food too. I've seen people start out cooking with love, using real ingredients, cutting corn off the cob, hand prepping everything because it mattered. But when survival mode kicked in, they swapped out fresh for canned. They watered it down. They used cheaper oils, not because they wanted to, but because they thought they had to. And little by little, the thing that made it special disappeared. You don't notice it at first, but one day you look up and you're no longer making what you believe in. You're just trying to survive. How do I know? Because it happened to me too. There was a time I was doing everything I could to hold it all together, running multiple markets, trying to keep everyone happy, trying to keep the numbers up. I lost the plot. I stopped creating. I was caring too much, and none of it felt authentic anymore. My why, which has always been about creating pockets of a better world where people could connect through real things, was buried under transactions. So how do I know the Live Way works? Because I had to try it myself. Not just as an idea, but as an experiment I lived. I took paintings from my apartment, pieces I had made for myself during emotional moments, and painted over them again with what I was feeling in that season. I didn't call myself an artist. I wasn't trying to be a painter, but I sat there at Montrose Live by myself on the quiet days during the week, and I sold them. Enough of them to consider quitting all of this and just sell paintings instead. At least now I know I have a backup plan, right? And people connected with them, not because they were technically perfect, but because they were real. My why wasn't to sell paintings. It was to share something that only could come from me. But it wasn't just that one moment that confirmed it. Over the years, I started noticing patterns. I watched who thrived and who barely survived. I paid attention to what worked and what always seemed to unravel. I tracked who kept growing and who disappeared after a few months. I didn't just host these spaces. I studied them. The ones who were rooted in their why, who showed up consistently, who weren't afraid to be seen in their own frequency, those were the ones who lasted, who evolved, who built something bigger than just a booth. The live way is a reflection of those observations. A structure pulled from real experiences, real data, and the real cost of faking it. That's why it works. It's not about whether you make candles or food or fashion or art. It's about whether you're doing it from the inside out or just trying to keep up. And maybe your handmade purses or your scratch-made sauces won't sell out on your first night. But if you keep showing up, keep creating from your own energy, and root yourself in something real, your work will grow. Your people will come, and you won't lose yourself along the way. That's what the Live Way was created to protect. Montrose Live isn't about me. It's not about gatekeeping. It's a space for people who are done faking it, done chasing trends, done folding under the pressure. It's for those ready to build something real. If that's you, we're here. This is the way, the Live Way.